So I don't know what we're calling what happened. I guess it's Termination Thursday or something like that at One Buck Place. About 7 coaches, either through retirement or just being told, you're not good enough, we don't want you around anymore, were let go. And not a lot of surprises on that list necessarily, maybe not any, but it started with Josh Grizzard. And I must say, I feel a little bit like he's a fall guy in this thing. Like, listen, the offense, was it good? No. It definitely took a couple, giant steps backwards. But given the amount of injuries they had, particularly early in the season, I mean, I thought I was hailing the guys doing as good a job as anybody could do, right? Because they had, every offensive lineman either out or playing out of position. They started 5-1, 6-2. And, Bucky Irving was down. Chris Godwin played 2 games and he was down. I mean, it was just this rotating cast where every week he had to, come up with different protections and game plans and things. And Baker was definitely bailing them out. Now, the second half, when the competition got better, did he coach as well? No. I think after the Patriots game, it definitely hit a little bit of a swoon there, but so did the team. Right. And so did Baker Mayfield, frankly. A lot of this is also on the quarterback. I mean, it's great to call plays, but you're not the one out there throwing the ball. You're not the one making the decisions, right? But having had 5 coordinators in 5 years, the other 2, obviously Canales and Liam Cohen, got head coaching jobs. But it didn't seem to me, just from having lived this, that no, I didn't like the game plan in Carolina. There's some things that, certainly he could have done better, and the numbers aren't great. But is that really why they lost, 8 out of 9 or whatever it was, 10 this season? Not really. I mean, it's part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And they did choose continuity over maybe like opening up the search and, looking at everybody, including coaches that had actually called plays before. So it felt a little lazy in who they chose, to hire. But I also feel like he's being scapegoated just a little bit here.
Yeah, I can see your point there, but the fact that they let 5 or 6 coaches, Tom Moore will put separate because he's kind of an advisor, whatever else. But
Yeah.
the 6 coaches, 1 retired, 5 let go. It wasn't like they just said it's the offensive coordinator's fault.
No,
Like
that's true.
they made a lot of changes. So
Yeah, they did.
I mean, and when you have underperformed seasons,
Yeah.
changes are going to happen. But if had they just did Josh Grizzard, then I would say yes, maybe he is more of a scapegoat. But they did Thad Lewis. They did, they did several on the defensive side as well.
Right.
Like it wasn't like one coach went; it was 6.
Yeah. No,
And so,
that's true. That's true. I guess, comparatively speaking, and I mean, we all know that Dave Canales got a head coaching job. But if you look at the numbers, like if you just said, okay, pick the coordinator, Grizzard was better than Canales in almost every category. So perception is reality, and I get all that. I look, Josh is a young coach. He'll have other chances, hopefully, to land on his feet. It's just one that I felt like, yeah, I know you're going to fire people, and I figured it would come down to him too. And like I said, there were no surprises. I wasn't sure they were going to get Thad Lewis, by the way. I don't know exactly where that came from. But I guess you're blaming Thad for a bad second half by Baker Mayfield. I mean, was he a better coach when Baker Mayfield started off with 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and then forgot how to coach after that?
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that work exactly?
Or is it whoever your offensive coordinator comes in, you want them to have the ability to pick that coach?
That's exactly what it is. That is it in a nutshell. It's by association. If you fire the coordinator, your next coordinator is going to get an opportunity to coach quarterbacks, or he may coach quarterbacks for a year. You just don't know what their preference is going to be. But she's definitely cleared the deck for someone to come in. And, the other ones, Charlie Strong, former USF head coach, after just 1 year, the defensive line coach, mostly the interior line, he's fired. Did they get much, production? I mean, Vita Vea, I thought, played okay at times. I mean, Hall was all right. Just, they lost Kalijah Cansey, and that was a huge loss. And you can't blame that on Charlie Strong. But whatever the reason, when they evaluated Charlie Strong, they felt like I guess their interior defensive line didn't really develop the way they had hoped, and so he was a casualty. Um, not the outside linebackers coach like Larry Foote, who managed to stay. Now, the outside linebackers got you almost no sacks. I mean, Yaya Diaby led the team with 7, but you didn't blame Larry Foote for Hassan Reddick, who he stood up and went to bat for. So it's interesting. The other ones had to be emotional for Todd because he fired Kevin Ross, who I remember him telling me a couple years ago that even though Kevin Ross was, well into his 60s, I guess, that he relied on Kevin Ross to tell him what the mood of the team was. Like Kevin Ross was very good about understanding like where the players were mentally. Should he push them harder? Should he back off? That kind of thing. And then Nick Rapone, who I believe coached Tom Moore at Temple when he was a player. I mean, Nick's 69 years old, going to be 70 years old. He was allowed to retire, i.e., probably would have been fired if he didn't. So those were, on the defensive side, Strong, Ross, and Rapone. And then, and then the great Tom Moore, who I'll talk about here in a minute, decided that he was finally through for professional and personal reasons. But it was quite a day, and now there was more intrigue in the NFL, and it will certainly play into the Bucs situation. Mike McDonald got fired with the Miami Dolphins. And it would appear for all the world that Stephen Ross would be trying to go after John Harbaugh. That might not be locked up yet, and he's interviewing general managers as we speak. But McDonald now becomes also another head coaching candidate for other teams. I think he's going to talk to Cleveland and some others, but also a preeminent offensive coordinator candidate, and along with Todd Monken from the Baltimore Ravens, who spoke about his 3 years in Baltimore. I saw him on a podcast talking about how he wished he had a better relationship with Lamar Jackson, had been able to do more for him, etc. But Monken is available too. So maybe, perhaps, I think it's probably a longer shot than most teams, but maybe one of those guys would consider the Bucs situation. I don't believe that that's going to be the case, but you never know.
Well, it depends on how their head coaching interviews go first, and then
That's right.
you go from there.
But even if you were a coordinator, well, look, there's no guarantee that Monken would rejoin Harbaugh wherever he goes. I talked to Monken the other day, and he just said, it was time. It was just didn't feel like they could go any further and really get the best out of the quarterback, out of the situation. And of course, Harbaugh decided to move, so that changed everything. But it's always, I get a lot of this too on the social media, and I understand the sentiment. If you're going to lose 7 different assistant coaches, the comment was, why don't you just fire Todd? I mean, it's everybody's fault but yours? And I don't think that's what's been actually being said here, or that's not the statement by these moves. But I understand the sentiment. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little like now we're going to hold people accountable. I mean, I don't know how many times we said during the season that Thomas McGahee isn't getting it done on special teams, and he refused to fire him while it was happening. Now, you still had Keith Tandy on the staff. You had other people that could have taken that over. He didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up inevitably being fired for the reasons that he should be. So it feels a little bit like, okay, Todd, we're going to keep you, right? And we don't know what the discussions were. This was Todd's idea, the Glazers' idea, or both. But it does feel a little bit like, hey, we're going to need some juice on this coaching staff if you're coming back, because we can't sell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to need some help for Baker. We're going to need some help for this defense. Now, the big question is, and I don't have the answer to it yet until he were to text me or something, but is Todd still going to call the defense? I don't believe, since Larry Foote's still here, since they kept some of their coaches anyway, that I don't believe that Todd's going to give it up or at least hire an outside defensive coordinator. It feels to me like he'll either do it or he'll appoint it to one of George Edwards or somebody on his staff. That's my read on that situation.
I think you're probably right. Although if the right candidate came along, maybe that changes something. As these other coordinators or other coaches,
staffs are let go.
Yeah, staffs are let go, and staffs are hired in this, and if the right candidate came about, maybe. I mean, we're all assuming this is the Glazers telling Todd, you need to make these changes. Or let me put it this way: a lot of the online fan bases,
yeah, they got lots
assuming
of theories.
that the Glazers ordered Todd to do this. It's possible Todd said, "Look, this isn't working.
Yeah,
I need to make some changes."
Well, I think it's both. I mean, I think he realizes that you can't stand up there all year and say we got to coach better, play better, and when you get the same result, not change the coaches, right? We know he didn't change any players. That's one thing, and we were constantly asking him about that. But when you get to the end of the year, if you're going to stand up there and say we got to coach better, and nothing ever gets better, then it's definitely time to get new coaches. I guess you could also question when you're talking about offensive coordinator and guys like McDonald and such and Monken, what's the perception of the Bucs in general as a team, as an offense, and what is the perception of Todd Bowles' longevity here? I mean, you could very easily, if you're an assistant coach, be looking at a one and done situation, right? And sometimes you take a leap of faith like Dave Canales did because it's the first time he'd ever been offered a job as an offensive coordinator. He'd never called plays before. Seattle had 4 different coordinators under Pete Carroll instead of him, kept getting passed over. And so he said, yes. Why did they? He goes, why did I take this job? Because they asked me to. Because you don't turn it down. You don't turn down the first time you're asked to do something like this. Now, that might be the case again, but if you're looking at guys like Mike McDonald, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, if you're looking at a Todd Monken, I don't know that you have much to offer here.
But hold on. We said that 3 years ago. You said it 2 years ago. Then last year it was a coveted job. Like, most of the same pieces are there from when Canales and Cohen were here. The main pieces on offense. This offense can be successful. Todd Bowles has 2 years left on his deal after next year.
Right.
Like, I don't think I think it's a better position than it was when Canales took the job. I mean, it was like everyone thought Todd Bowles, one more year and he's done. Like, whoever comes here, it's one and done.
That was after they fired Byron Leftwich, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everyone was assuming.
Well, not only that, the problem with that was that job was, if you recall, Tom Brady retired. And so their only quarterback, while they were trying to hire an offensive coordinator under contract,
Yep.
was Kyle Trask. They literally did not have another guy on the roster.
Right.
So Monken told me, he said, look, I'd have loved to come back to Tampa. That would have been a great opportunity. I would love that. But they didn't have a quarterback. It was Kyle Trask. And he goes, and so I got a chance to go coach Lamar Jackson. What would you do? But he wanted to be back here.
But I mean, you
so
saw
I think
what
that's
Canales,
one of the reasons they had trouble getting people.
Absolutely. But you saw what Canales did with Baker Mayfield in the offense. You saw what Liam Cohen did.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what Josh Grizzard was doing at the first half of the season. I still think a lot of this was Baker Mayfield was so banged up by the second half.
I do too.
Now, and does that mean
that doesn't change decisions?
Perfect play calling? No, not necessarily. But what I'm saying is Baker wasn't the same quarterback.
No, he wasn't.
If you assume he's going to be fine for next season to start.
Yeah.
Then what this offense can do. You've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to scare a good coordinator away. I mean, this is a better situation.
I don't know that a Mike McDonald's going to take it, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know that a Todd Monken is going to take this job. He might.
Maybe not, but here's the other part of this. And, there's talk of, is Todd Bowles on the hot seat? That's going to be the talk going into next season. You take the offensive coordinator job here, you may end up with the head coach job in a year or two.
Yeah,
Todd Bowles could retire too. I mean,
that's kind of a stretch, but
I
know what you're saying.
I'm just saying that I'm not saying they're going to tell you that or promise you that.
No, they won't.
But they lost Liam Cohen. If you knock it out of the park with this offense, and you've seen it can, would Jason Light and the Glazers be more inclined to go ahead and make a change? Maybe.
Well, if they knock it out of the park, they're probably going to win a lot of games. Whether they win in the
Yeah.
postseason, that
Well,
could
but
affect Todd. But
they knocked it out of the park with Canales and Cohen. It was 8-9 wins,
yeah,
or 9-10, I guess it was.
right.
So I think 3 years ago we were like, no one, and you kind of got the feeling no one wanted the job, which is why you ended up with Dave
Well, you
Canales,
had
who no one
guys
had
like
heard of.
Pritchard went. What was it? Pitcher that went back to Cincinnati.
Yep.
There were quarterbacks coaches keeping their quarterback coaching jobs instead of taking offensive coordinator jobs.
I don't think you'll have that this time here. Maybe McDonald doesn't come.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think you're going to get Monken or McDonald. Like, you get either one of those guys, that's a home run.
Or Kingsbury, who's
or
out
Cliff,
there too.
Yeah, he's out there. Although I don't think Kingsbury. Texas Tech. I mean, Mayfield walked out of there because he didn't like Kingsbury as much as anything.
True. I was just meaning big time
Yeah.
coordinators.
Yeah. So I mean, that all that's possible, but. And there's some other guys that they interviewed, in the past, including one from the Rams. I mean, there's other young players or young coaches that are ready to take this step. You just have to hope that when they do take it, when you hire one, that he hits it out of the park, because you're not going to have maybe multiple years with Todd Bowles at this point. I don't know. It's been a very interesting reaction, an interesting couple of days. We didn't know if Todd was going to stay or not. And then, he texted me yesterday that he was here. And then this morning he met with a bunch of coaches, and the word got trickling around because some of these guys were walking around saying their goodbyes. And then slowly but surely, it sort of leaked out. And it's a tough day. But the Glazers have to now hire all these coaches, guarantee them probably 2 or 3 year salaries. It's not going to be inexpensive, probably not as expensive as if they fired Bowles necessarily. And I will say this, that for all the people, here's the thing. For all the people who are just like, I'm canceling my tickets, and first of all, I don't believe you. Okay? I don't believe you. Most of you probably don't even have tickets as they're saying that. But that aside,
there may be some, but the majority will not.
Nobody protests the head coach, right, by not going to the game. Like, if the team's not winning, if the team stinks, sure, don't go. Save your money, okay? You wanted change, you didn't get change. You're still, if you're a fan of the football team, right, it's thick or thin. Now, whether you choose to spend money to go to the games are certainly your prerogative. But I think that, are you telling me that if they get off to another 5-1, 6-2 start, no one's going to the games? I mean, it's ridiculous. Of course you're going to go to the games because you're going to think that that's your team and they're playing well, and they still have Baker Mayfield, and they still have, all these receivers and for better or worse, Bucky Irving, and so on and so forth. And their offensive line may be back intact next year and healthier, and Worse won't be, trying to figure out what's wrong with his knee. And, presumably it'll look a lot brighter. But I know people don't like Todd Bowles, and they haven't for a very long time. I think this is just, kind of a jump on pile moment when you fail to make the playoffs after 5 straight years. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting off season because they still got a lot of coaches to hire, probably no more to fire. And then we'll see, what they do. The biggest test is coaching is one thing. It's very, very important. But the bigger thing will be, are you guys going to spend money on free agency? Are you going to try to get, some players in here to help you win? Because one of the reasons these coaches weren't successful is they didn't have very good players. I mean, look, Charlie Strong, I don't know what he did or didn't do, but there wasn't a lot of good players when Kalijah Kancey went down. He had Vita Vea, and that's about it. The defensive backs, you do have some talent back there, but they were hurt a lot, Antoine Whitfield Jr. certainly hasn't done much since his rookie year, when he was all pro. So, and a lot of those guys are loyal guys to Todd. Todd played for them at Temple, or they've been together at other coaching staffs. And sometimes you do need fresh blood. You do need younger guys that can relate to these younger generation players. That's part of it too. I mean, this is one of the older coaching staffs in the NFL. And of course, Tom Moore helped that tremendously by being on the staff, I guess, as a senior offensive consultant. But it's unbelievable to me that they're going to have that Todd Bowles is going to have his fifth offensive coordinator in 5 years. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster, you know? And it makes you wonder if you really want a defensive head coach.
That is the problem with defensive head coaches, is that you're going to have to replace your offense coordinator eventually.
The good news is, if you're right, they're going on to greater things. But if you're wrong, you're firing him because it's Josh Grizzard.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. But
I mean, there's good defensive coaches around the NFL that are head coaches.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bill Belichick being the biggest one.
Yeah, and if their coordinators knock it out of the park, then they got to hire new ones every year too. Just all depends. It all depends. So I want to get into just for a minute talk a little bit about Tom Moore here in a second. But first, folks, get on down to Breitling Boutique. I don't know what your Christmas shopping was like, if you got everything you wanted, but you really need to go down there. It's at International Plaza Mall, center of the mall, second floor. That's where you're going to find the Breitling Boutique. The Breitling Company has been making Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been at International Plaza for going on 6 years. And when you go there, the first thing you're going to notice is the customer service. It's tremendous. I mean, they're used to dealing with pro athletes and celebrities, but they're going to treat you exactly as the celebrity that you are. Go in, find about these great watches, these great timepieces, have a drink, spend a little time. The men's watches, the chronomats, the Navitimers, the women's watches as well, sports watches that are just absolutely gorgeous and durable, and you got all different kind of colored wristbands that you can choose from. And you're also going to notice, as you go into the store, on the left is a display. It's got the big letters NFL in the shield. And that is because while supplies last, and that's important, they have the NFL collection, if you will, 32 different teams, 32 different team watches. And that's to only while a limited time. I mean, once they're gone, they're gone. So that's part of it. But when you see these, I mean, they got the team colors on the face of the watch. They got the logos. They're spectacular. So get on down there, Breitling Boutique, center of the mall, second floor. And when you go, make sure you let them know you heard about it here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. All right. During all this purging, because Todd Bowles was meeting individually with his coaching staff all day on Thursday. I sent a text to Tom Moore, and he said once he talked to Todd, he'd get back to me. And so he called, and Tom, in a few words, said that well, I went in there and talked to Todd, and thanked him for everything, and I told him I'm going to retire. It's time. It's just time. And yeah, I mean, 46 years in the NFL. Right, 60-something years, I think, coaching. And, of course, this year, his wife, Willie, had suffered a stroke, and Tom missed about 3 or 4 games going back to Carolina to take care of her. And now his daughter's been doing that. And he said, you know what? He goes, Willie enabled me and made a lot of sacrifices through all those years so that I could live my dream. And he goes, and it was always about Tom. It was always about Tom Moore. He goes, well, now it's about Willie, and I need to go back and take care of her. And I mean, 87, right? Like, who has a career like that? There is no one that's had a career quite like Tom Moore. Do you know he's never been fired from a football job?
That's almost unheard of.
It's crazy, right? Like, whether he was one step ahead of the jail man or what, I don't know, but he was always moving at the right time and getting other opportunities and things. Even in college, when he went from Pittsburgh to college, only offered a head coaching job, or only interviewed for a head coaching job once, and that was with Detroit. And it went to Rod Marinelli, the former Bucs defensive line coach, and Marinelli was there for about 3 years. The first year I think Rod was there, they went winless. I believe they went 0-16. But nonetheless, Tom just loves ball, and and what really moved me was everybody's reaction to it. He's beloved. He's a true character of this game. He's a pioneer of this game. The amount of players that he has coached, the Hall of Famers, the list is endless. But you can start with just the quarterbacks with Bradshaw and Manning and, yes, Brady. And he won, 4 Super Bowl rings. a couple with the Steelers, and and of course, one with the Colts and one with the Tampa Bay Bucks. But he, I guess what I would say is, 'cause I wrote his book, The Player's Coach, and what I would say is that he was able to evolve and had seen the evolution of football, of the NFL, of its players and the generations, right? Our generation certainly different than our children's. We grew up in a different time, era, technology, all of that. And he's been able to relate to all of them. And if you go on Vita Vea's timeline, there's like a whole basket of videos that he took over the years of Tom Moore, and him and Tom had a great relationship. Um, and it's just playful stuff, but I mean, it was incredible the way he would relate to these young players, kids really to him, and still, but also coaches. Was a huge help to Dave Canales. Dave Canales is still spitting out Mooreisms when I see him on a podium. The same was true with Liam Cohen. The same was true, I think with Josh Grizzard. So I just, I want to say thank you to him first of all, because I had the honor of spending time with him and writing his book, and I learned so much about the man. And he's a greater man than he is a coach, believe me. But what a treasure, and what a tribute people have paid to him today. I was really moved by all the people in our business, in the national media, um, and others that heard of his retirement, read of his retirement, and just heartfelt stories and things like that. He's a funny guy. He was always had a great sense of humor. And some of the things I can't repeat on this podcast are out in social media today. Some pretty funny stories and sayings, but yeah, just gonna miss Tom. And I think and Bowles had a long statement about him too. I think their coaching staff is gonna miss him. That's a resource that very few teams have, and when you can you know lean into those experiences and the things that he did and
Mhm.
accomplished in his life and in football. He's in the Hall of Fame. People have asked about that. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He got an award of excellence. He has not been inducted, with the busts and things like that. But they created a new award of excellence that he was one of the first classes that they honored. So if you go to Canton, you will see his name there. But it'd be nice to see an assistant coach actually go into the Hall of Fame. And if anybody was ever going to do it, he should do it. But uh, for now, he's going to hop in his car, drive to Charlotte or wherever they're. I mean, it's just incredible, man. Just keeps going, and God bless him. He told me when we started to do this book that he wanted to name it Boots First, and I was like, why you want to call it Boots First? And he's like, well, how the old westerns you fight and you get in a gunfight and they take you out boots first. And that's how I want to go out in football. And he wasn't kidding. He really
No.
did.
No, that's definitely what he wanted. I mean, your wife's health, and that's why he's probably stepping back. And
Sure.
but I'm sure that was not his intention.
No. He understands that where Willie is, and his daughter's been taking care of her, and that's his responsibility. He had 40, like I said, 40 something years, 60 something years in football. It's her time now, and he's right. It is time. I mean, 87. I just hope that he remains as active. You can't possibly remain as active, but the guy's been getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and getting to the office at like 3:30 for the last I don't know how many years. So hopefully he can find something to keep him going. But man, just a real honorable guy, and a terrific coach, and somebody that will be. I know I'm going to miss him. I know the players will too. So
He's a lot like Don Zimmer was at the Rays.
yes, that's a great comparison.
And
Legend of the game.
And Zimmer was the first one to go into the Rays Hall of Fame when they created it.
That's right. He was.
And while the fans didn't realize how much he did and such, because it was mostly behind the scenes and at that point, but he was such a resource for the players, the coaches,
Yeah.
even the staff and all that, like just, special person and loved by everybody.
Zim was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very similar. That's a great analogy, actually.
Yeah.
And never worked a day that he didn't draw a paycheck from football. He never had another job.
Mm-hmm.
Only profession he worked in was baseball.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know?
I when Tom Moore got hired here, it was a lot. I thought of it about Zim the same way.
It's an extremely great comparison. Yeah.
And while you see him a little bit on the sidelines, but he's not one of the official coaches and doesn't have a position group, and
Right.
he's not doing press conferences every week like the
Mhm.
coordinators and that.
Mhm.
But such a vital role. I mean, we know the relationship he had with Bucky Irving early in the morning in the building.
Yeah, I mean, and Bucky, we know he went through. So, the interesting thing is he went through those injuries and was going through that mental stress. Tom was not here, and that had to add to it as well.
Mhm.
Because that was his mentor.
Yep.
And he was back with his wife. So, yeah, there's a lot of relationships, and that's what this business is. But Zimmer's a good comparison. Boy, Zim, and much like Tom, you start talking to him about I mean, the legends of the game, and just the great Dodger players. And
Well, they retired Zim's 66 for the Rays because it was 66 years in baseball. I mean, you start,
crazy, right? 66, and Tom did
Yep.
62.
Yep.
But the stories about Jackie Robinson and what good friends they were, and all that Jackie went through, like you go down this rabbit hole, and you don't want to ever stop talking to the guy.
Yep.
And it's kind of like that with Tom. And we had a conversation for about 6 months and wound up with 60,000 words. So,
and there was a lot more that didn't make the book.
oh yeah, there sure was. My big breakthrough was teaching him how to use voice memo. That's the only thing that kept me from having to drive to one Buck so much. He was really good at it. He goes, I'm a 19th century guy. And he was, but he learned how to use voice memo, and he would sit there, and if I had a question about, Lynn Swan or John Stallworth or somebody, he'd just go for like 20 minutes, and I'd get a voice memo, and I was like, cool, man, I'm gonna start transcribing right now. But check out the book, not because I'm not getting paid. I mean, I did get paid, but my fees were not based on book sales, thank God. But I do think that if you're a coach or even an executive, there's some things in here, and some of the rules that he lives by and coaches by that you can apply to everyday business, life, family, parenting, all of that. It's a tremendous resource. So check it out. All right. What else we got? Lots going on. College football, of course.
Right. We're watching Miami Ole Miss as we tape this.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. I don't have a dog in the hunt here, but with all that went down with Lane Kiffin and everything, man, to see Ole Miss put up a fight like this, if they could get to the championship and God forbid win it, I mean, it'd be one of the greatest stories in college football history.
It would be. The only downside is if Ole Miss keeps winning, Lane Kiffin keeps getting bonuses.
I know. But you know what? They're not paying him. LSU
no,
is.
but I mean, but he's getting bonuses.
Yeah, he should not profit.
And now he's trying to pull coaches back. The coaches can go. Oh no, now they can't. Like,
oh, he's doing everything to kneecap him, even though he'd be kneecapping himself. He'd rather
Jimbo Fisher called him out the other day.
Yeah, although Jimbo, I mean, didn't he leave Florida State for a lot more money at Texas A&M?
Well, but Jimbo was calling him out not for taking the LSU job. It was, you gave permission for your coaches to go back and coach, but now because they won a game or two you didn't expect, now you want them back.
Whoa, not so long. I told you to go back, but you were supposed to lose.
Yeah, but that's what Jimbo called him out, not the taking the job at LSU. Like,
you can't flip-flop like that. You can't say they can go coach and then when they win go, well, I got to have them here at LSU, That ain't right.
Yeah, that's what he was calling him out for.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I don't think that's really anything they should be doing.
Yeah, but and then we'll get Oregon, Indiana tonight.
That'll be a great game. Although Indiana beat Oregon by 10 in Oregon.
Yeah, but it was a great game
earlier this year. Yeah.
It was a good game. And that's when you kind of realized, okay, Indiana is for real.
Yes.
They went to Eugene and beat Oregon.
That was an impressive win. And, of course, they've been impressive all year. And Cignetti's been amazing. And his quarterback, Heisman Doza, has been incredible. And probably going to be the first pick of the draft by the Raiders. So lots to be excited about, whatever championship they come up with. But I guess they're doing it now. Thursday, Friday? Because
it'll be following Monday, because the NFL playoffs are Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you're not going to go opposite NFL playoffs.
Yeah, so that's why they're having these games now.
Right, and then they'll get a week plus because it'll be the Monday night after next week, a week from Monday.
That's right.
That'll be the championship.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, crazy, man. Long, long, long college football season, but it's also bittersweet because when we're just a few weeks away from no football, like that long spring, right? And you got that little space there before they start playing baseball, and um, so I'm not. I'm glad that I could definitely use a little less uh, craziness, but when your coach either gets fired or has a lot of staff changes, there's not much time off, folks. Because now they're going to start interviewing people, and there won't just be one or two. It's not like they're going to turn around tomorrow and, hey, Mike McDaniel's your offensive coordinator. No, there'll be guys coming in here. They'll be waiting for the playoffs to get over, teams to get eliminated, so on and so forth. And it's going to be crazy to follow this. It always is, but that's where we're at. So, and you know what? And the final thing, like with Bulls and that, I just don't remember people like. There's so much like fire Todd Bowles and he's the worst coach. No, but like when they were 5-1, I promise you, where were these people? They were not saying those things, you know. And they've turned a little on Baker because he didn't play well down the stretch, and I think that's warranted. But like, you can't just decide that when things are going well, I can tolerate the head coach, and then when things are not going as well.
Well, there's been some that couldn't tolerate the head coach even when they were 5-1.
Well, and I think you're right. I think that's what it is. It's just that they've always been there, right? But now that they smell blood in the water,
Mm-hmm.
they're louder and more vociferous than ever. So, you know, um, it's one of those deals. But that's the nature of sports and fans. And I got a lot of
Yeah.
people sending me text messages and what do you think about this and why? The biggest sentiment was, well, if you're going to fire that many coaches, why not fire Todd, right?
Well, I think there's several reasons. I think one, if you like the coach and you think he can get you to where you want to be, then you give him a chance to reset the staff. Philly did this a few years ago and won the Super Bowl the next year.
That's exactly right. I was thinking that Nick Sirianni, yeah.
Yeah, I think they got rid of 8 or 9 coaches.
I
I
think
think it
you're
was
right.
even more than 7.
That's right.
And they went on to win the Super Bowl the next year. Like, if you think you have the right coach in place, plus he has a 3-year contract,
But yeah, that too.
that may be part of it too. Is, well, let's
Yeah.
give him one more shot. Let's change out some coaches, see what his plan is, and see what he can do.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think that, if they do what they've done the last few years, they're going to get off to another good start. Now, they have changes they need to make. They need to stay healthy. The biggest thing is I can't imagine, although it can always get worse, right? But I can't imagine them having as many injuries in key positions to start the season as they did last year. And last year they navigated it just fine. Won 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7. And just you get off to another start like that, you just got to learn how to finish it. And I think part of the reason they get up to that start is because they do a good job preparing them in the preseason and training camp, the live reps, all of that. And then you get to the regular season and you get guys nicked up. And then we talked about the walkthroughs the other day, and you're not going full speed with reps. You're not going full speed on routes, and the timing starts to wane. And your quarterback get like those, just the natural attrition that the NFL season is. And they got to find a way to battle that. They got to find a way to practice. They got to find a way to, keep from having those lulls that they've had with Todd Bowles in the middle of every single season. Fast start, big lull. This time they didn't pull out of it. They just needed one more win, and they'd be playing, God help them, against the Los Angeles Rams and probably get drilled. But it was not to be. So that's just the way it goes. All right, we still have a big week of football. We mentioned the college football playoffs still going on, but then after that, it's the NFL playoffs. And the game that I'm most intrigued by, I think, is the Bills at Jaguars. And the biggest reason is it's just Liam Cohen's done an unbelievable job, and the Jaguars finished hot as they could when they won 13 games or 14 games, something like that. But they're hosting the playoff. And for Josh Allen and the Bills, I mean, to have no Patrick Mahomes, to have no Joe Burrow, this is your shot. You've got to beat Trevor Lawrence, and you've got to win on the road, which is not easy in the postseason. But man, you've got a good look at it, and yet I think this Jacksonville team's really up to the task. Their defense is one that creates turnovers right and left. Lawrence has been on kind of a heater lately, been protecting the football, It's going to be warm. It's going to be probably in the 80s, if that matters to people coming out of the snow in Buffalo. But I still, what I would say is, as great of a year as it's been, and it's been spectacular. Couldn't imagine a better year for Liam Cohen in his first season. Don't waste this opportunity, because I think there's sometimes you feel like a new coach comes in, or a new quarterback like Tom Brady or whatever, and and everything goes really well, and you think this is the way it's going to be every year. You don't know that you're going to get back here.
Look
You
at the
just don't
Commanders
know.
this year.
The Commanders are a perfect example of that. They made it to the NFC Championship game, came back, bunch of injuries, didn't start fast. Now they fired coaches. Every year is different. So if you're Liam Cohen, what you need to do is make sure they understand the urgency and how difficult it is to be right where their feet are. They've done a good job with that all year, but Buffalo is tested. They have the experience. They've been in these games. Josh Allen can put the cape on if he has to. So really intriguing matchup.
I'm curious about Pittsburgh, Houston, and Green Bay, Chicago, only because there's still talk Tomlin and LaFleur could be out.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
If they get blown out.
I can't imagine LaFleur leaving Green Bay. I think that'd be a huge mistake. He may decide he wants to do it.
Yeah.
But, man, would that make him a great candidate? And you wonder if there's any other teams that would jettison their head coaches if LaFleur was available.
Well, I'm sure some of the ones that have openings would take him in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat, for sure. And, having to play a division team in the first round of playoffs sucks, right? If you're Chicago, you've already played these guys. And remember that crazy game that they came back and won and got the onside kick and all that nonsense that they were able to beat really Malik Willis in that game, because I think Jordan Love got knocked out. But Love will be starting this one, so that'll be an incredible game. There's some really intriguing matchups. San Francisco's got to go to Philly. I don't feel good about that because I don't think the 49ers defense was very great. But Philly, you just don't know with them. If they don't play well, their fans are going to turn on them, and sometimes they have bad days at home.
Chargers are at the Patriots.
Yeah, love the Patriots. It's a long way to go for the Chargers, but still,
3 West Coast teams are going east. I mean,
yeah, how about that?
And the Rams going to Carolina as well.
Yeah, and Carolina's a double-digit favorite, I want to say. I'm sorry, the Rams are over Carolina.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not Carolina.
Yeah, not the other way around, but the Rams are and they lost there earlier this year. But again, you can't have Matthew Stafford turning it over with interceptions twice and then losing a fumble. So barring the turnovers, they got Devontae Adams back. I think the Rams are going to win. I don't think Carolina can score enough points. So they did the last time they played them. But again, a lot of that was over turnovers, and also Bryce Young converted a couple 4th and 1s into touchdowns. So don't know if he'll have that day again. But intriguing game nonetheless, and one that frankly the Bucs should be playing in. So yeah, crazy. It's going to be a good playoffs. Who's the favorites? I don't know. I don't know what you'd say. New England, I would say, perhaps. Denver still has a bye week, but you forget about them because they're not playing. They're still in one of the top teams.
Denver and Seattle have the byes.
Seattle has a bye, so yeah. I don't know. Maybe a Seattle, Denver, Seattle Patriots type Super Bowl, maybe something like that. But yeah, it'll be hard for the players and the coaches sitting home watching it, and for their fans. But it's still playoff football. It's still great. Well, theater.
Emily Mayfield put pictures on social media of Baker watching the game.
I know, right? Stop already. We know he's not. We know he's not there. We know he's frustrated. Like, we get it. Just let him watch in peace if he's going to watch it all. Who knows? Yeah, there's been a lot of that. Oh, and Rashad White, if you don't want to text, or I should say tweet out or Instagram, whatever it was. I think it was Instagram, a meme of a bunch of bug spray flying around when they were canning all the coaches. That's a classy thing to do, my man. We know you're out of here. We've seen the airplane memes and all that. We know you're gone, okay? You don't have to be bitter about it, and you don't have to make light of the fact that coaches got fired, okay? Just a word, not that this will get to you, but if you are a friend of Rashad, you might tell him just to stay classy, okay? Because it's a very close-knit league, and people keep receipts, right? They keep receipts.
Oh, they do.
And I don't know why, just because a guy named Bucky Irving came in here and ran for damn near 1,200 yards, right, and you had a career average under 4, you had a role. They played you. You did well at times. At other times you didn't. But like life moves on, right? They got a running back that they believe in, and Sean Tucker, they'll have to decide if they want him back too as a restricted free agent. But at the end of the day, just go on and have your career, man. You don't have to make it full of drama and sort of regret. It's just been stuff like that I don't get. Like and I tell my kids this all the time with social media, like be very careful, right? Like just you don't need to put stuff out that paints you in a bad light. He took it down, by the way. But as you know, everything lives right on social media. You can't really erase it. So just very disappointing. But anyway, that's my soapbox for the day. Lightning are back in action, right?
Yeah, they'll be at Philly tomorrow night.
Wow.
Start a 5-game road trip. They have 2 at Philly, then Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Dallas. So,
that's a long one. Yeah. But they've been playing well on the road. They've been playing well in general. And you mentioned that how close
the Eastern Conference is crazy because yesterday the Lightning were in first place in the Eastern Conference. Tonight they're in 4th because 3 teams passed them. Now the Lightning have
simply
games in
because
hands
they had
on
a game.
They had a game Thursday night, but the Lightning have games in hands on all 3 teams. So Lightning still have the best points percentage in the East, but yeah, the Eastern Conference is just crazy how tight everything is.
It was a statement game the other night against Colorado. I know they were missing a couple players finally. They've had good health till now.
But the Lightning have been missing players all year, including
they still are.
So.
Yeah. So
now, it's a statement game if you follow it up and go take care of business in Philly.
That's true. Anybody can get up for one game, one team, but you're right.
And they were rewarded with 2 off days. They didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. They'll practice today before they fly up to Philly. So
fresh legs, but a road trip nonetheless. So
well, they played better on the road this year than at home. They're a really good road team this year.
Yeah.
Like at home is where they've struggled.
Right. Because that's where I watch them.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
We did get hold on. I got to see if I can find this. We did get a mailbag
Somebody,
question.
I think, congratulated me for not going to the game the other night.
Yeah, it was from Craig in Vegas.
Craig, of course.
Will Rick be banned from all home games until current win streak has ended? He's been very honest about his Bolts voodoo.
Craig's the best. You know what? I'd like to say that I would stay away, except I have a little girl who is just dying to go. She's been egging me on. Of course, she does dance, and so the many nights, like Tuesday nights and games that they play, this last one she wasn't able to go to. So we are limited in our opportunities, but I will be going back there. I hate to tell you, it's going to happen sooner than later.
Now, if you go to the Stadium Series game, does that same voodoo count? Because it's a different.
I don't know.
venue?
It's not the arena. It's not Benchmark. Yeah. But we are. Those tickets, from what I hear, are very hard to find and really expensive. So, if anybody's got some, give me a holler.
Well, Gary Bettman was at the Lightning game Tuesday night and spoke about the outdoor game coming up.
Did he?
And said, hey, when did it come about? And it's really been 10 years in the making, and just trying to get comfortable of that they can keep the ice, in a good position to play in that. But he also mentioned, part of it was when the Lightning played in Nashville 4 years ago, the Stadium Series game. There were 25,000 Bolts fans there.
Lightning took it over.
They said they've never seen an outdoor game get taken over
by a visiting team like that. Yeah,
like that. And that's when it was like, okay, they deserve a game. We just got to figure out how to make it work. And
that was great. That's a great thing. And yeah, let's hope they did figure it out with the tent over the ice and everything before the game. So hopefully the weather will cooperate, or one of those days they'll get it in. But yeah, really cool. There's so many people went to Nashville. Of course, Nashville's a great city, not that far.
Yep. It's going to be a great weekend too. Gasparilla on Saturday, then the outdoor Stadium Series game on Sunday.
So much, man. So much going on that time of year with Gasparilla and all that. But yeah, what a great weekend in Tampa Bay. This has been a great week as well, unless you're one of the 7 Buc coaches who won't be here next season. But follow all the goings on there with the Tampa Bay Times on tampabay.com. And it's going to be interesting playoffs, of course, with college football, the NFL, all of that. Make sure you get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Check out the NFL team watches while supplies last, as well as the beautiful watches for your wife, your girlfriend, sports watches, the chronomats and Navitimers for men. It is Breitling Boutique, and they're the best in the business. And make sure you let them know that you heard about it here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening, everybody. As always, for Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a terrific weekend.